I made 400 one day, 200 the next day. What's up, family? This week is gonna be a different type of video, specifically because last week, I wanna say we just traded too much, right? We're breaking out of our structure, and I really wanna talk about that because you're not gonna be profitable if you're breaking your structure. So, last week we took some wins, we took some losses, we took some trades, maybe a little bit more than we should have. I really want to talk about, some main things that would help you become a profitable trader. These are some points that I made to make you a profitable trader, or if not, even a better trader. So I'm going to go ahead and give you these 6 habits that I'm getting accustomed to, and you should also do these. The only thing is that, I'm going to start pretty basic, and towards the end, I'm going to get more advanced so that obviously if you've been trading for a while like me, then you'll understand a little bit better. Maybe there's some things that you haven't heard before. Maybe there's some things that you have heard before. So in the end, I'm going to give you the smartest tip and most beneficial tip when it comes to trading. All right, so let's just get started with number 1. Starting pretty simple. I'm pretty sure you guys already know that when you make trades, you have to have discipline over your emotions. Having discipline over your emotions is important because if you really think about it, anything that involves money, and the potential to lose that money is gonna have emotion that comes with it. So when it comes to trading and trying to become profitable, you have to put your emotion aside. You don't want to emotionally trade. You don't want to try to revenge trade. You don't want to impulsively trade, right? So the reason why is because, for example, last week when I was trading, I made a good amount. I made 400 one day, 200 the next day. But overnight in London session, we basically missed out on about $1,000. And, at that moment when I woke up, I was just thinking like, damn, what just happened? If I would have just held my trade, I would have been up 1,000. So what did I do? I started scalping and I was trying to make that 1,000 back. I was trying to get it back in blood, literally. So that's not gonna work because what happened when I did that? I lost $300, $315 to be exact. So because I was 600 in profit in 2 days, but because I missed out on $1,000 in one trade, I ended up losing 50% of my profit. You get what I'm saying? So that is literally number 1 thing to do is not trade with emotion. So how do you develop this habit? First, you need to have a trading plan. You need to actually stick to that trading plan and, win or lose, you need to stick to it. I always say, just because you have access to the market 24/7 doesn't mean you have to always be trading 24/7. That's how you lose money. And okay, maybe you have a week of straight wins, but you can also have a week of straight losses. So just be conscious of how many trades you're making a week and, stuff like that. Next thing I would touch on is risk management. So obviously, all you guys know what risk management is. If you've been trading for a while, you know what risk management is. That's basically how much you're willing to risk for that trade. In my opinion, risk management is non-negotiable. You need to really understand how much you're willing to lose for that trade, because you also need to understand that even the best trade setups could possibly fail. Having proper risk management keeps you in the game longer, just because obviously you're not gonna potentially blow your entire account in one trade. So how do you properly manage your risk? Okay, so in my opinion, every trade you make, you should be risking about 1 to 3% of your account. I know a lot of people say 1 to 2, but if you're making proper trades with the proper strategy and you're not impulsive, then a 1 to 3% is reasonable, because you need money to make money. Okay, if you're trying to flip $100 account with 1%, I don't even, bro, you're not gonna make nothing, bro. You're making sense. So again, you need money to make money. Also, you need to use your stop losses properly. I don't really use take profit, but I do have a calculated, position that I want to reach, so I'm not just going to get into a trade and hoping that it gets to a certain point. Like, I understand that, okay, my stop loss is here. I'm okay with losing this certain amount. And I know that the market's going to hit about a certain amount because I calculated the position. Using stop loss and calculating a position is gonna help you better manage yourself, because if you set a stop loss, you're understanding, okay, this is an amount that I'm okay with losing, even though obviously we don't like losing. This is a certain amount that if I lose it, all right, it was meant to happen maybe because of the position that you're in. But I don't use take profit. I just set a, kind of like an alarm where if it hits this amount, then it's potential to do something. That if it, as soon as it hits a certain point, then there's probability of some price action gonna go on. Also, being able to diversify your trades, okay? I have before been in a couple trades, a couple meaning two. I don't want to be in more than two trades at the same time, but I am starting to like only being in one trade before I make another trade, because you don't want to over leverage yourself. You don't want to over leverage your account. Like I say, when you over leverage yourself, you become vulnerable. So obviously don't over leverage your account. Proper risk management. So this habit I think is very important, and you should not pass it up or overlook it. It is basically back testing your strategies and strategy refinement. So that's basically where you're polishing up your strategy. You're seeing what's working, you're seeing what's not. You make some adjustments so that you're making good trades. Profitable strategies are based off of data. At the end of the day, we're making educated guesses off of previous data. You know what I'm saying? So we're not just going to get into a market just because we are assuming it's going to do this. All right, we're making an educated guess because of the data that we've seen previously. Hopefully now you understand why that's important. Refining your strategy, back testing your strategy, and what I mean by that is basically just seeing if your strategy is consistent in different markets and in different time frames. Like just trying to figure out if your strategy is actually working and you're not just getting lucky. Because at the end of the day, nothing in the market is by accident. I truly do believe that. Obviously, there's very, very, very big players in the market, and you don't want to just try to go against them. You're just some kid in your room, on your computer, in the lab, whatever the case is, right? So habit number 4, documenting and journaling your trades. I think this is a two-parter to the previous habit, specifically because when you're documenting and journaling these trades, you're keeping track of what's working and what's not working, why it's working, why it didn't work. And it's kind of like the same thing as back testing. When you back test, you're basically figuring out what's working, why it's working, and what's not working, and why it didn't work. So a couple examples that you can use for your journaling when you trade: your entry points. You want to journal your entry points and take note on why you entered at that specific point. You also want to take note of your exit points. Why did you exit the trade at that point? Did you exit because you were losing too much? Did you exit because you were impatient? Like, really take note and figure out why you did what you did in that trade. Whatever the outcome is, let's say a win or a loss, take note of that. Take note of why you won, understand why you won, so that you can do it again. Take note of why you lost, the reason why you lost, so that you don't do it again. You know what I'm saying? It's very simple when it comes down to it, when you really put it into perspective. Then when you're taking notes on these trades, you'll be able to understand the emotion behind it. Even take notes on that, make a little dash and write, I felt this when I traded. You know what I'm saying? That's gonna help you distinguish your emotional trading, right? That's gonna be able to distinguish why you emotionally traded, and they'll also be able to help you distinguish the mistakes that you made. Number 5, the most important, truly 100% the most important habit. Number 5, you have to be patient. You have to be selective. Imagine you had 2 to 3 shots in your sniper rifle with no muzzle, and you're on some type of hitman execution mission or whatever the case is, right? You're not gonna go around just shooting random people. You're gonna save your ammo. You're going to find your target and you're going to shoot right at the right moment when you have to. Okay? So that's literally called a sniper trade. So you need to understand that. You need to understand that you need to be patient, you need to be selective, and that's going to help you just make better trades because you're not just jumping in because of emotion. You're not just jumping in because the market is showing you something. That is literally what the market does. The market shows you what you want to see so that you get in at a certain point and then they take you out and you become liquidity. Like that's literally what the market is. Not every moment is an opportunity to trade. Sometimes the best trade is no trade. The reason behind that is because when you overtrade and you just get in, get out, get in, get out, like you're gonna end up losing a lot of money. You may make some money, but when you overtrade, you're just gonna catch a lot more losses than you have to. Make your checklist, make sure the market is checking each one, and don't skip any steps on that. Just make sure your checklist is getting marked off. Number 6, honestly, if you guys have made it this far, like, subscribe. I'm gonna make a lot more content like this because this is what I wish someone was telling me. Again, this is absolutely free on YouTube. So yeah, I mean, if you wanna learn more, then just like, subscribe, and I'm gonna make a lot more content like this. So number 6, you need to continue learning and you need to have market awareness. These big institutions, these banks, like these are big players, like I mentioned earlier, that are putting millions and billions of dollars into the market. So do you really think that these people are just gonna throw 100,000, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 700,000 of dollars into the market for no reason? It wouldn't make no sense for them to just, hey, I'm gonna click and now I'm just gonna hope for the best. The people that run the market are not making a mistake, and you need to understand that. Why would you put your hard-earned money in the market for no reason, right? I'm talking to you specifically. Why would you throw your hard-earned money into the market and hope for the best? That's not what the big players are doing, so why would you? When it comes to Forex, it's very dynamic. There's going to be a bunch of things that are affecting the market. Economic data, global news, central bank policies. These are big institutions that are going to constantly make a big effect on the market. Okay, and that's why I'm saying you need to think bigger. Don't just be throwing some baby trades, you know what I'm saying? Save up some capital, understand the market, and then execute properly. So how do you sharpen up? How do you become aware of the market, so that you can actually trade with the big players? Number 1, follow the economic calendars, right? Follow financial news. Study new strategies because at the end of the day, your strategy probably isn't working because it has no structure. You're just getting in, getting out, like I said. So another thing would be to learn psychology, right? Because these big players understand that there are people like you and I trying to make money from the market. So what are they going to do? Like I said, they're going to show you one thing. They know that we are thinking about that movement. We're going to get in because we saw that. And then the market knows that we got in. So they're going to show us what we want to see. We're going to get in. And then they're going to take us out. We become liquidity. They're going to take our money. This Amazon guy just pulled up. You got to make sure he closes the gate. You know what I'm saying? All right. If you've been in trading for a while, then you've probably heard this one before. But if you're a newcomer and you're trying to understand the market better, you need to understand yourself better. Like I said, psychology. The market is all psychology. You're playing with money. And a lot of people are going to say it's gambling. I definitely don't think it's gambling. Let's say you get on roulette. You're not going to be able to choose black or red. That's up to the dealer. But when it comes to the market, you can literally see what it does so that you can make a strategic plan on what it's going to do next. It doesn't work like that in roulette. So if you've been trading for a while, you probably heard this one before. But if you're a newcomer, this is definitely by far it will wipe out everything that I just talked about, okay? So this is the bonus tip. Pay attention, take notes, and I need you to really understand this because it's going to make you a profitable trader. Family, You need to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I don't care what you say, like, oh no, I'm just making money, so I don't need to eat right. I don't need to go to the gym. I'm up for New York and London session 5 days in a row. You think those trades are gonna make you a better trader? You think you're gonna make good trades off of no sleep? You think you're gonna make good trades off of a bad mentality? If you're not happy in your position, do you think you're gonna make a smart trade when your rent is due? You think you're gonna make a smart trade? Maintaining a healthy lifestyle, getting your sleep, exercising, eating good, going outside, this stuff is gonna help you become profitable because you have a clear mentality. This having a clear mentality is gonna help you become profitable for sure. At the end of the day, you're the trader. So if you're not sharp, neither are your trades. And you need to really understand that. If you're not making good trades, if you're not living a good lifestyle, it's just gonna accumulate and you're gonna start losing money because you're not in the right headspace. You're making trades off of emotion. You're not understanding your strategy properly. And that is a huge thing. You need to go outside. You need to live your life and then get onto the market and study. Don't just neglect that. Alrighty fam, if you guys enjoyed and you think this is helpful in your trading journey, like I said, I'm gonna make a bunch more videos like this. I'm gonna come out with a free course, completely free. Again, this is YouTube, completely free, so that you can study and become better. And I'm gonna actually teach you a little bit of what I do. I'm gonna teach you a little bit of the market so that you can have a better understanding. And yeah, so if you like it, put a little thumbs up, subscribe for the next videos, and I will see you next time.